But I really think for most people, once you start the healing work, it's like peeling an onion. The layers of the onion, you get through one layer, comes and somebody told me that. I was like, no, but I'm tired now. I just want to be done. I want to be finished. But actually now I'm kind of embracing that and think maybe that's the beauty of life, that you're not done. And that for me, I want to be always learning. I want to be learning new things. I want to be learning new skills, new things about life. And I'm trying to embrace that now rather than fight against it.
What's up, you beautiful beasts? I'm Katie. I'm on a mission to help humans become their favorite versions of themselves and to strive for overall health by healing their relationship to food and exercise, healing their relationship to their body, and most importantly, healing their relationship to themselves, all without ever having to step on a scale. I have had the privilege to talk to all kinds of different humans who have been through a plethora of experiences just being a human and existing. I believe that every single time someone shares their story, at least one person listening will learn from it, be inspired by it, and maybe, just maybe, even change the entire direction of their life. These are the stories of humans unveiling their beautiful beast. Keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. So welcome to the Unveiling the Beast podcast. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and why you think you are who you are?
Hi, Kate. It's good to meet you. I'm Gabby Mottershead. I'm in Manchester, in England. I'm 61 years old. So my life story really was after a difficult childhood. I kind of reinvented myself through the world of work. I was very ambitious at work. I worked really hard. I did a part-time degree. And so I got to the age of 40 and I thought, I cracked it. I was winning at life. I had a master's degree. I was a director in a big company. I'd bought my own home. I'd brought up my two sons. I've been married for quite a while. I've been married nearly 40 years now. So I thought on the surface, everything looked pretty good. And I thought I'd overcome a lot of challenges, everything that life had thrown at me. And then I got made redundant, which I wasn't expecting. And then I got diagnosed with a very rare and aggressive type of breast cancer when I was just 44. And so I'm in the UK, very lucky. We have the National Health Service. We have fantastic healthcare. So I had chemotherapy, mastectomy, then radiotherapy, and then reconstruction. And at the end of it, I just thought that's a chapter of my life I want to put behind me now. I want to move forward. I want to go back to my old life. But actually, I was such a different person than the one that walked into that diagnosis. My corporate career that I really had thrown everything into for many, many years, worked long hours, worked really hard, didn't care about it anymore. Didn't care about it anymore. I felt like I'd missed out on so much life, so much family life with my family. And I really lost my identity. And I found my healthcare team was fantastic when I was going through the treatment. And then when you finish the treatment, they say, okay, they don't say, like it's not like in the movies where they ring a bell and everyone's like, well, you're cured. They never say you're cured. What they said is, there's no evidence of disease. We'll see you again in 12 months' time. And I was like, oh, right, okay. So off you go. And so I went on a journey then really of thinking, well, why did I get sick? And the fact that I've been so stressed for so many years, as a lot of us have, we kind of think that's normal. We think that's modern day life. We think that's what you have to do to get on. Yeah. I hear that a lot from people. And I really went on a journey of studying nutrition, working on my mindset, and seeing so many therapists and doctors to really get myself well to start with. That's what I was really concerned about. They said the type of cancer that I had, inflammatory breast cancer, had a very high recurrence rate. No news that nobody wants, but that's what they said. It was very likely to come back. So I thought, right, I'm going to throw everything at this and do everything that I can to stop it coming back. If I've manifested this disease, if I created it by something I was doing wrong, this is a chance now to put that right. So I changed my diet, changed my lifestyle quite a lot. not obsessively, but there's a lot of things now that I do differently. Um, and I learned so much. And as I say, my corporate career, I didn't really care about it anymore. So I kind of went back to working in finance because that's what I've always done. And I was earning good money, but it wasn't filling my soul. It wasn't helping me at all. So I started at the beginning part-time coaching other cancer survivors, other women on the changes that I made. I set up a little Facebook group and people were asking me, how can I change my diet? How can I stop getting stressed? I don't feel like myself anymore. I've lost all my confidence. What can I do? And so I've started off just replying to messages like that. And then since then, I've trained as a coach. I'm always learning. I'm always learning new things that I can share with people. And that's the work that I do now that really kind of fills me up.
I love that. And what sticks out for me is so many times we think that once we're done with the big thing, right? Like whether I'm, getting cancer treatments, whether I'm in an abusive relationship and I'm finally getting out of it, whether I was in a car accident and broke all of my bones and they're all going to recover, right? We think once it's done, that's the end. And for most people, I'm not going to say all, but most people, it still lingers because it was so big, so heavy on the mind and the body that there's more work to do afterwards in the healing. Does that make
Absolutely.
sense?
And it absolutely makes sense. And I struggled with that. And I really fought against that, thinking, no, I want to be finished. I want to be happy now. And I want to put all this behind me. I don't want to think about cancer. I don't want to think about all the things that have gone wrong. I many years ago, I was a survivor of domestic abuse. I had a lot of abuse in my childhood. So I felt like I've overcome all this now. Now is my time to be happy. But I really think for most people, once you start the healing work, it's like peeling an onion. The layers of the onion, you get through one layer, comes, and somebody told me that. I was like, no, but I'm tired now. I just want to be done. I want to be finished. But actually now I'm kind of embracing that and think maybe that's the beauty of life, that you're not done. And that for me, I want to be always learning. I want to be learning new things. I want to be learning new skills, new things about life. And I'm trying to embrace that now rather than fight against it.
Yeah. So do you think the part where you said I didn't care anymore, was it because like did you have a shift in thinking that maybe you were focusing on the wrong things? I'm putting wrong in quotes.
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I get that. I think when I went into the world of work, as I say, I had very low self-esteem. I worked in a finance environment, for a big company, and it was very male dominated. It was very old fashioned, very hierarchical. Maybe I don't know if this is the same in America, but in England, your boss was your boss and you deferred. They were, your elders and betters. They were the ones who set the rules and you followed the rules. Mostly without question. And again, I worked in finance, so there's a lot of rules around working in finance, and you have to follow the rules. But actually, the working environment, even now, I think things are slightly better now than when I started working life. It's such a toxic environment. Flexible working is a term that's bandied around, but there's not really a lot of flexibility in most working places. If you are a working mother as well, you are expected to be a fantastic mother. You're expected to be a great employer. When you're at work, you're supposed to forget that you've got a family and you've got children. And when you're at home with the family, you're supposed to forget that you've got a lot of work responsibilities.
Yeah.
And so, I speak to a lot of women that are disillusioned with corporate life, because it's such a toxic environment. It's not healthy on so many levels. The working lunch, the hours that people work, being stuck in an office with no fresh air for a lot of people. So many things that are just very unnatural.
Yeah. I think that contributes to a lot of mom guilt. And I'll raise my hand for that one. It's like if I'm giving all of my attention to my child, I feel guilty that I'm not working. And if I'm focusing all on the work, then I feel guilty that I'm not spending time with my child. And even if the things are scheduled in there, we're human. And so we're naturally going to think about the other thing. And I'm going to own that for me too, because That's something I've struggled with in the past, is just like feeling like I can't win, you know?
Absolutely. And for
Mm.
many years, I kind of wore it as a badge of honor that I was very good at multitasking. Oh, yeah, I can do 10 things at once, not a problem. And, now looking back, I think just stop it. Stop it now. Do one thing at a time and just be good at that or good enough rather than setting these very high, for most people, unachievable, unattainable targets. And again, I think a lot of corporate life is like that. As soon as you hit one target or you finish one project, it's on to the next, it's on to the next. And it's relentless. And you do feel something. I felt certainly like I was a hamster on a wheel going round and round. You finish one thing, you start another, you're never really off. And I have learned over the last few years how to really relax, how to take
Mm.
time out for me. Never used to do that, just didn't. And I'm not alone in that. I know a lot of women are the same. When you've got a house and a family and a job, there's always and parents maybe to look after. There's always things to do. There's always other priorities that come before your own self-care. And that's a big lesson that I've learned.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on work-life balance?
Yeah, that old chestnut. It's really difficult. It really is difficult. And I think, you know, as much as we think we've got equality, I think especially if you're a mother as well, naturally when you've got a baby, you put the baby first and everything goes out the window. Your baby is
Mhm.
24/7. But then as my children got older, I felt like I was still doing that, even though there were grown men who were taller than me. I was still thinking all the time, what do they need and what do they want and where are they going and have I done enough for them? So the home life balance, I think, I don't want to generalize too much because I think there are some amazing men and there are some amazing fathers.
Mhm.
But traditionally, men find it easier, in my experience, to be great at work and then come home and forget about work. Or when they're, at home, do whatever they're doing and then put that down and it's done. Whereas so many women, and including myself, work is never done. Work is never done at home. Work is never done at the office. And so but sometimes I think we create those barriers for ourselves
Oh
by
yeah.
trying to be the perfect and trying to be the perfect mother, trying to be the perfect employee, trying to be the perfect, the great best host. I love having people around to my house. So it's like, I put pressure on myself to people coming around. The house has got to be nice. I've got to have the right food. I've got to have the right drink. And I used to put so much pressure on myself. Nobody asked me to do that. I wanted to do that. I put that on myself.
Mm. That reminds me, in my training, my life coach training, we talk a lot about language and how we can
Mm,
just a shift in our language can change everything in the way we view whatever it is that we're doing. And one of the things is, um, I'm so overwhelmed.
yeah.
And changing it to, uh, or you can ask, if a client says, I'm so overwhelmed, you can say, how are you overwhelming yourself? And
Yeah.
And
Very
sometimes
true.
it'll piss them off, but then once they once they think about it, it's like, oh yeah, I am putting a lot of these things on myself. And
Yeah.
what can I do? Because sometimes we're just totally unaware that we're doing it to ourselves. And
Oh,
so
yeah. Yeah.
asking that question can just help them look at it differently. Oh, well, I'm saying yes to everything and no to nothing. So,
Mhm.
which was my
Yeah.
story. But yeah,
Yeah.
language is important.
I love that. And I always, one of the big wake up calls for me was realizing that I used to say, well, I have to do this. And I've got a
Mhm.
huge to do list. And then I realized actually the things on my to do list were things I was choosing to do. No, most of it was not other people telling me what to do. And now I changed that language that I used to myself in saying I've got to saying I get to. So
Mhm.
rather than saying I've got to exercise tomorrow, it's saying, how lucky am I? I get to exercise. I've got the time. I've got joined a nice gym. I get to I'm healthy. I can get out. I've got that choice. Not everyone's got that choice. So again, shifting the language that you use with yourself
Mhm.
has been huge for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that you used the gym example. That's my work. Those are the people I work with. Just changing the
Ah,
mindset of of, instead of I'm going to go work out to punish myself for eating this thing yesterday, I'm going to go move
Yeah.
my body because I love to move. So yeah,
Yeah.
mindset is everything.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Speaking of mindset, when you were going through your treatments in order to nix cancer,
Mm-hmm.
what, how did mindset play a role for you in that?
Oh, again, that it was huge, and I think that was really part of the journey, because when I was first diagnosed, the shock of the diagnosis and not really knowing very much about cancer, not really knowing, I'd had friends that had had cancer, but I wasn't really involved in their treatment. I didn't know a lot of what they went through. And
Mm-hmm.
so at the beginning, I was just total fear and really just hanging on every word that my doctor said and doing exactly what he said. This is what you need to do, and this is what we're going to do next. And I was like, great, okay, thank you. Yeah, I feel like you've got me. You sound like the expert. But it was maybe after about 3 rounds of chemotherapy, and I was doing what they tell you not to do. I was going on Dr. Google and I was looking at what can I do and what should I be eating, and did it. And I asked my oncologist, what should I be eating while I'm on chemotherapy? And he said, oh, it doesn't matter what you eat. And for me, I really believe that you are what you eat. I've believed that for years. It wasn't particularly healthy in my diet, but I've watched all these programs where people turn their life around by changing the diet. Because that can't be right. I started to question him a little bit, thinking he's an expert in cancer, absolutely, and the drugs and everything. But when he said it doesn't matter what you eat, I just thought, no, I'm not buying that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another part of my journey. And again, it was part of my mindset from being an obedient patient and trying to be a good girl. I was always told as a little girl when I went to school, you've got to be a good girl and follow. He knows best. He's the doctor. He knows best. Thinking, does he? He doesn't know me. I'm sure he knows, generally a lot of things, but he doesn't know me. There's no guarantees with any of this. How I'm going to respond to this treatment. Am I going to get sick again? Nobody could tell me that again, for sure. So again, a lot of the mindset was on me to think, no, I've got to take responsibility for this. And I started reading a lot of different people. And a big one for me was reading Louise Hay Louise Hay about how you manifest illness. And I remember talking to one of my friends about this, and she got really cross with me. And she's like, you didn't cause this. Don't feel guilty. And I was like, I'm not blaming myself. I'm taking responsibility. I know I've not been eating well for years. I know I've been too stressed. I know I've not been caring for myself. I've not been rested enough. I know I have. I kind of thought that's what you had to do. But again, looking back, who said I had to do that? Who said I couldn't take time out? Who said I had to eat rubbish food? Nobody. That was my choice. So yeah, the mindset work was huge. And again, I think we're all very individual, and a lot of people that go on the cancer journey won't even approach any of this. They'll be like, I have my treatment, I get fixed, I go back to my old life. And I'm not saying that's right, wrong or right. I'm saying my journey was very different. For me, it was a real time of reflection, but an opportunity as well to think, okay, made some mistakes, but I've got the rest of my life now to put that right.
The theme that I'm hearing is choice. Learning that you have choice. And
yeah,
that's both with your doctor saying, oh, you can eat whatever you want, knowing, okay, I can eat whatever I want, but I still have the choice to eat better foods. And then also in the, I know I didn't cause this, and I can choose to change my habits in the future.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I love that choice.
Yeah. So, and again, I see, social media is more of a thing now than when I was diagnosed, and I love it. I follow a lot of positive people on social media. And today's Tuesday, and one of my friends has gone, oh, it's Tuesday, and she calls it Tuesday. What are you choosing today? What are you choosing to do today? And it is, I think, remembering that we do have so many choices. Sometimes that can be overwhelming. I know that. Too many choices, from back in the day when you just had, a very limited outlook on life. But again, it's thinking, well, I get to choose. Do I want to work online? Do I want to work for a big corporation? Do I want to be self-employed? Do I want to change my diet? What do I want to do? So many choices. And grasping that opportunity and thinking, well, what a time to be alive. I'm connecting with you over the internet now. That was unthinkable, not that many
Yeah.
years ago. Yeah.
So cool. It's so
Yeah.
cool to be able to say I meet with people all over the world. It's so awesome.
It is. It is
Yeah.
awesome. And I coach clients from all over the world as well. Because somebody asked me that, where are your clients? And I said, anywhere. They
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be in my local town. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Um, when you were talking about choice, you talked about social media, and I wanted to point out to the listeners and remind them that you can choose what is in your feed. Right now, especially in the States, there's a lot of toxicity in my
Oh,
feed,
I
and
know.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm finding myself not going on there, but at the same time, I kind of have to because I have a business and that's where I do all my
Yeah.
marketing, but
Yeah.
it's so
I hear
toxic.
you.
It's so toxic. And I want to remind people that you can choose who and what shows up in your feed. So
Abs-
if that means you
Absolutely.
have to delete somebody that's been in your life for a long time, it's on social media. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's okay. So I highly recommend people to, go see what they're following, what they're interacting with, and choose.
Absolutely. And you're so right with the social media thing. And in the UK, this started a few years for us. I don't know if you know about Brexit, where Britain was leaving the European Union. So it was a big marketing campaign, and it was all about Brexit. Should we be in the European Union? So Britain, should they be in it or should they leave? And then a lot of people came out of the woodwork with some very racist views, saying, "Oh, we don't want to be part of Europe. We're English. We're better than that. We should." And whoa, a lot of the stuff on social media, people that you think, oh, they're quite a nice guy or quite a nice woman, you see some of their views and you think, I don't want to see that anymore. So I did
Yeah.
went through a similar thing of either muting people, unfollowing them, or some people thinking, do you know what? No, I don't need that in my life. I'm going to block that. And I made a conscious. I'm like you, I've got an online business. I want to know what's going on in the world, but I don't watch the news every day anymore because I just think they're just trying to keep us in fear. Everything is
Yeah.
scary. Everything is hot. Yes, there's some terrible things going on in the world, and I want to be aware of that. But I don't need that constant. Here's another thing to worry about, and here's another thing to be scared of, and here's another thing that you can't control because it's happening in another part of the world, and it's totally awful and it's totally bad, and you just need to be scared. And I don't want to live in fear all the time.
Yeah. I can't remember the
Yeah.
last time I watched the news, especially here, because
Uh,
I feel like all the news channels here are just like brainwash, brainwash, brainwash. And I'm like, oh, just, ugh,
yeah.
bleh,
Yeah.
you know?
And I've thought that with people talk about the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, as being one of the better news channels, but I've started to notice how biased it is to certain politicians. And some,
Mhm.
one party will be interviewed on a topic and get quite an easy time, and then another party will be interviewed and get really taken to task and really pulled apart. And you think, you're not neutral. We're being given an agenda here. And I don't really care whose agenda it is. I'm just thinking, I don't want to be part of that. I've
Yeah.
got my own views and I know enough about stuff to make my own views, but I'm not going to be brainwashed. I'm not going to be told that the world is a scary place. I'm not going to be told that, for instance, foreigners are my enemy, because that is a big agenda that I see being pushed a lot. And I'm not convinced that's the truth.
Yeah. And we also don't need to watch the news to know who somebody is.
No,
'Cause-
no.
anyway.
Anyway,
So I'm gonna do like a little kind of like a right turn.
okay.
With your clients, is there how do I want to word this question? Is there like a similarity with all of them? I mean, I know there's like this specific niche, but is there like something that comes up often with each of them? Um,
Yeah,
Regardless of who they are, where they're from, what they've been through.
I would say so. And again, this is just my experience, and I'm I'm not done statistics on this, but
Right.
a lot of the working women that I deal with have trouble with feeling guilty, about never being good enough. They may really struggle with setting boundaries. So they find it really hard to say no. And a lot that my experience was, I was a people pleaser for most of my life. I wanted to be a good girl. I wanted people to like me. That was really, really important to me when I was younger, that people liked me. And it's taken me quite a long time to realize not everyone's going to like me, and that's okay. Yeah. And I see that a lot in other people that I work with as well. And I think there can be sometimes a very much of an internal struggle going on, because they're thinking, well, I don't like it that that person doesn't like me, or I'm not happy that my boss isn't happy with me when I said I wanted to go home on time. And there's a lot of struggles going on, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was the same way. Like everybody had to like me. And if they didn't, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Now it's like,
Absolutely.
I don't like everybody. Why do I want everybody to like me?
Yeah. And I read a quote sort of saying confidence isn't walking into a room and hoping that everybody's going to like me. Confidence is walking into the room and thinking, well, I like them. And it's shifting that focus from being a little girl where I was told that everybody else knew better than me, thinking, no, well, actually, I can make my own judgments, and not everybody is okay, but that's fine. We're not all the same.
Yeah. Well, I have one more question for you. And
Okay.
I ask everyone at the end of every episode, and that is, if you had one piece of advice that you could give to the world, what would it be?
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of this just goes back to being kind. You know, like we just talked about, we've all got a different view of the world, and that's okay. But I'd say really just be kind. When if you can't, if you can't be kind, I think that is something I would struggle with. But it's particularly for the people that I work with, I'm always telling them to be kind to themselves. Sometimes we can really be our own worst critic. It's really easy to think, oh, that mistake that you made, or you shouldn't have done that, or really beating yourself up for stuff that you've done in a way that you would never do to other people. And so learning to talk to yourself, your own self-talk, people sometimes think, oh, am I the only one who talks to myself? No, we all talk to ourselves, whether we're conscious of us or not. And sometimes that little voice can be really critical and not very kind to ourselves. So I'd say be kind, especially to yourself, would be my one piece of advice.
I love that. Beautiful beasts, Gabby Mottershead signing off. Until next time.